Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys subscribing and joining the channel, especially during this time. And thank you to all my returning people. I really, really appreciate you guys. Let me just tell you guys, this is important information because I know that if I'm triggered and I don't watch any news, I don't watch any news, honestly. This morning I was driving in the car and I had the radio on and I heard one of those terrible ads, from the Republicans. And I just thought, and it was a powerful ad. I mean, it was powerful. And I thought, why aren't the Dems fighting back? Why don't I hear Dem ads? I know you guys have said the same things in my comment section of my videos. Where are the Dems? Where are the Dems? Well, we know, you and I both know that the Republicans outspend us. We know that. But we also know that the Republicans go for the jugular and the Democrats don't. That just seems to be the energy of our party right now. And I'm not going to say whether that, well, I mean, okay, so right. If you're new here, I'm channeling my guides. Now, my guides are 60% of this situation, and I'm about 40%. So basically, they're giving me information, and then Susan is kind of wrapping it up in a way that makes sense and presenting it to you. So when I was going to say, well, I'm not going to tell you whether that's good or bad, Susan had an opinion upon that, and that's why I laughed, because there's a lot going on up here that you don't see. And yeah, Susan thinks that we should go for the jugular. I think we should go for the jugular. I think we should take the gloves off. I think forget it. I don't care. I'm ready to go toe to toe with them, and I'm ready to go as low as they go. I don't care anymore. I really feel like we're at a place where we have to do that, where we can't lose anything else, right? That there's so many issues that affect human lives. I just feel like we're at this place. Now, the guides are saying we don't want to go as low as they're going. Okay, that's what the guides are saying. The guides are saying, they're saying it's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. They're always going to go lower than we will. There is no bottom, and we'll just feel terrible about ourselves because we'll be in this fist fight match with them, right? And they will have gotten us to sink below their level. And they're showing me, Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. Hard to do right now. So and this is why you want to hear from my guides and not from me. I would have already been knocked off of this platform in about the first week. So here's the thing. This is what I want to talk to you guys about because it's super important. The guides have said repeatedly, we are going to win a lot of seats. We may not have this super majority, which a super majority would allow us to overcome the filibuster. We may not have that. We may not win some seats that we want to. But on the whole, this is the message they need you to hear. On the whole, the Democrats are going to do really well. Now, I'm going to tell you why this came to me this morning, because, I heard that terrible ad, so I was already in a bad mood. And then I opened my social media, and my local, I guess it's a guy running for our local representative seat. And he's a nice guy, and he's a liberal, and I'm going to vote for him. I've sent him money. I've tried to support him, right? But you look at him compared to this guy that looks like Hannibal Lecter, and you're thinking, this is a no-go, right? This is going to be another, mop up the floor with us Dems. And this morning, this guy has a picture. This is how he does his social media. He has a picture of his cat. His cat is on his lap. It's not even a picture of his face. And the caption goes something like, yeah, my cat wants me to stay here, but I need to go out and work hard to gain the votes of my constituents. And I'm like, this is what we're up against. This grown man is talking about his cat. And his opponent is over there spreading lies and basically frothing at the mouth, and ginning up fear, right? And fear is a good motivator. It's always a good motivator, right? You get that. The doctor says, hey, if you don't stop eating like this, you're going to get XYZ. Well, you know what? You're more than likely to go on some sort of diet or take that advice very seriously, right? We have a close call and we're like, oh, okay, wow, I'm always going to be more careful when I'm doing XYZ. Fear is a motivator, and the Republicans know that, and they're using it. They are just scaring people to death about the economy, about inflation, and about violence or crime. Meanwhile, my guy is sitting in his pajamas with his cat on his lap. And I'm like, oh, for the love of God, how? I mean, I just, the Susan part is like, oh, I just, it's so important, right? Because the guy he's running against is a guy that particularly irritates me. I spend a lot of time on his social media, just tearing him up. I really do. In my personal time, not as a psychic and a medium, as a pissed off lady, I just, basically troll him. So this is an important race. And I'm like, why is this dude, why isn't he trying harder? Why isn't he doing more? Why isn't he, and he's a good looking guy, but half the time he's wearing like a t-shirt. I mean, this is Texas, folks. It's not going to roll. It's not going to play well in Texas. Get that suit on, get the button down in the cowboy boots, play the right role, right? We need you. We need you to play the role so that people will vote for you. Okay. So this is what my morning has been like. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being my therapist. So here's the thing. So you know what I did? I sat down with my coffee and I had a conversation with my spirit guides, because I'm like, y'all have got to help me here. I need help. And you know what they told me? They told me this guy's going to win. My guy, our guy, the dim with the cat, it's going to win. And I said, no, he's not going to win. He's not going to win. Are you crazy? This other guy's well-funded. He's been in office. We're in red town. This is red land. There's no way a liberal dude with a cat on his lap is going to win this race. There's just no way. I had a long conversation with them and they said, yes, he's going to win. They've almost convinced me that he's going to win. And so that brought me to this other thing of how, right? Like, how is he going to win? He's got no money. He's got very little support. I mean, we're small but mighty Democrats around here. How? I want to know how. This is why I'm doing this video. We're going to win, but we won't know how. So when I'm asking these questions, this is what I got. I got the same thing that I've told you guys before. It's and even just recently in the questions video, they use the term undertow, right? What is an undertow? You see the water, in the ocean, you see the water and it looks normal and fine and it's not rough, but under the surface, there's another current. Now they're telling me this. If I'm wrong, correct me, but this is what my guides are saying. There's another current that's going a different direction. And that current grabs you when you're swimming and pulls you usually out to sea. It's not something that you see, that is there. It's under the surface, but it's really strong and it can pull you without you knowing about it. This is what they're saying. There's an undertow. Also, they're telling me, and they've said this many times, and look, I don't blame you if you don't believe me. I don't blame you. I'm having a hard time with my own self. But there are many Republicans, especially women, they're going to go into that little VOTING BOOTH and secretly select D all the way down, because there's too much at stake here. There's too much at stake here. They're willing to vote D over their party. Now, what is at stake? So they're showing me the pro-choice thing is a real deal breaker. It's a real deal breaker for these women. Look, they might be fine with controlling that issue at, say, 6 weeks or 8 weeks. They're not fine at no abortions ever, not even in the health of the mother. That's too far. And they may not be able to talk to their husbands about this. They may not be able to talk to their friends about it. But I promise you, they're going to go in that booth and they're going to vote D. Also, this school violence, it's a big deal. And these parents are over it. They can see with their own eyes who is making guns more available in Texas, even since a big shooting that happened not far from me personally. And then they relaxed the rules, and then we had Uvalde. Okay, these people, I'm not telling you they're Democrats. This is the thing. This is why nobody is going to see this coming. They're not Democrats. They're Republicans, but they're going to vote Democrat, but they're not going to tell anybody. That's number one. And it's a big number one. Number two, all these people that are new voters or very unlikely voters, voters who maybe voted one time in their lives, well, they're going to the polls too for the same reasons that those Republican women are going to the polls. Listen, it's going to hurt them to vote for D's because they're not happy with Democrats. So when you say, well, Biden has a low approval number or Democrats have a low approval number, doesn't matter because these people are voting on issues. Yes, their food is too expensive. Yes, gas is going up. But they want choice. And they are at least applauding Biden trying to do something about the student loan mess. And number three, environmentalist. More and more people are catching on that climate change is happening. They may not call themselves an environmentalist. They may hate the word environmentalist, like a lot of women don't like the word feminist, but yet they are, but they don't like being called that. And they often say, I just don't like labels, right? I can see all these people saying, don't call me an environmentalist. I don't like labels. Well, they don't like how the Republicans have coined, have changed the narrative to be their own definition of those words. That's what they don't like. But truth be told, they see the writing on the wall, and they know that Democrats are going to stand more for the environment than Republicans are. So you have all these groups of people. Number four, you have the Gen Z. They don't even count in that other group. This is a whole nother group. These are people 18 to say 25, 26. That group has been tremendously impacted by the cost of school, the cost of university, the cost of college. They've been severely impacted by COVID, the pandemic. They've been severely impacted by growing up, going to school, and having to have school shooting drills. I'm telling you guys, those people, we don't even know who they are. We don't understand them. We don't understand their values. We don't know what they want. They're dropping out. They're not getting married. They're not having kids. They're not going to college. They're not getting jobs, or the jobs they're getting are casual, ones that they can quit and start again. Driving Uber for themselves. They've dropped out of our society. They've decided that our society doesn't work for them. They're not going to get that 4-year degree. They're not, because they're just going to get a pile of debt with no job, or a job where 500 people are trying to get the same job. So what do? Get a master's degree in what? It doesn't work. It's broken for these people. So they are going to vote D. Now, again, they're not D's. None of these people are Democrats. They're voting because it matters, because they have to, because they feel strongly that if they don't vote D, we'll have another 45 in the White House. We'll have another group of these profiteering racists in our House and Senate. That's another thing. These Gen Zers are not racist. They don't understand why. And they're pro, whatever you want to call it, pro marijuana. They want it to be legalized. They want to change some of these laws. So they're not Republicans. They're the closest thing they can find is a Democrat. So the guides are showing me them holding their nose. Almost all of these groups holding their nose and pushing D, 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 D. Now, I also want to tell you that they're bringing me back around to this guy with the, with we're going to be winning races that are kind of down ballot a little bit. And those things just don't get any national attention. So even though, and this is probably the thing that irritates me kind of the most, even though the Dems are going to have historic, well, first of all, we'll have historic turnout, and the Dems are going to have historic numbers voting for them. The press is going to find a way to change the narrative to something like Dems don't do as well as they could have with all of this turnout, some kind of thing like that. It's maddening. It's maddening. But these outlets, these news outlets, are owned by people that benefit from Republican policies, that benefit from big tax breaks, big tax cuts. They don't benefit from Democrat policies. So, and I'll tell you, they know, their guides are telling me right now, they know that Biden has his sights set on some sort of law that will start cleaning up their mess. You're no longer going to be able to say this crazy stuff without somebody suing you. You can see it going through the courts right now. Things that people have been saying for years. Got away with it. I don't know how, but they got away with it. Now they're getting fined. Take Alex Jones with InfoWars, almost $1 billion fine. Now that's not chump change. That's a lot of money. So, but why wasn't he fined 3 years ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago? Why now? That's because the energy is changing. The energy is changing, you guys. I told you guys, the guides told me after Uvalde's shooting, we would have more gun control because the energy has changed. Why didn't it change after Sandy Hook? I don't know. I don't know. But it is changing now. And we just have to take it when we can get it, and we have to run with it. So you will see some interesting wins. Now, this happened in 2020. It really did. And I tried to Google, long shot Dem wins 2020. Do you know what I got? Long shot Democratic win 2020. That was my search criteria. I got Dems fail, Dems lose. I got nothing. But I remember the guides kept telling me, they try to give me real world events or situations that I can talk about to kind of give you an idea of the energy, because it's very hard to describe energy, right? I mean, I tell you about the undertow. I can tell you that the guy with the cat's going to win, right? I can tell you these things. But I really feel like I need to give you some sort of concrete, because that's how I am, right? I'm a Virgo. I want it in triplicate. I want carbon copies. I want so when I was looking up this stuff, I couldn't find it. And so I said, can you help me? I want an example. Well, they reminded me of this transgender woman that won in 2020. Now, look, guys, if a transgender woman can win in 2020 when they've done nothing but attack them since 2016, that's a big deal. So I bring to you my Exhibit A. Sarah McBride is to become the first transgender state senator in the U.S. after she won her race in Delaware. She beat Republican Steve Washington to take over the seat from a Democrat. A Democrat did hold the seat before. Then another, so that's Sarah McBride, and she's one of a handful of candidates who has made history in a nail-biting night across the country. One of a handful of candidates who made history. Why isn't that a bigger deal? Why aren't we talking about all of these candidates that made history? They're there, a handful, but do they talk about any other of the handful? No. We cannot wait for the press to show us that we have done good work or that we have won or whatever. They're going to show us the negative Nelly, the negative feedback every single time. Why? Because fear. And that brings me to my next point, which is maybe the guides told me this yesterday, maybe some of these ads and these attacks on Democrats, these vicious attacks on Democrats, which are honestly patently untrue, everyone that I've heard, is actually going to motivate people to vote. Maybe that will make people who, if they thought, well, the Dems got an easy win, they don't need my vote, I really need to work that day, or I can't fit it into my schedule. But now they're thinking, oh my God, the weight of democracy depends on me getting to that polling place, right? Getting there and doing that thing. So I think it's going to backfire on them. I really do. The energy has shifted. They're also showing me book banning. They're showing me these people, these suburban families, suburban parents. So here's what their world looks like, right? They are worried about school violence. They're worried about the cost of their groceries. They're worried about other costs in their lives going up, maybe insurance, whatnot. They're worried about their kids being safe, not only at school, but also just around their neighborhood. And at the same time, they don't like the idea of this restriction of their rights, the restriction of the books, the restriction of their rights. What if they're still planning to have another baby? I talk to countless people who say, I don't want to get pregnant again because I can't risk it. What if I have some sort of problem with my pregnancy? And in Texas, they just got to sit there and watch you decline, because we don't know what the term is. You can, if you're saving the woman's life. Well, is high blood pressure life-threatening? The doctors are trying to figure out, where will I not go to jail? How bad do I have to let this woman get before I'm safe and I'm not going to go to jail? Before they're not going to make an example of me. So they're just sitting there watching that woman get sicker and sicker and sicker until sometimes the family comes and gets her and drives her, this is Texas, 10 hours to another state where she can get medical care. Now, you don't think these people are talking about this? You don't think in the down low people are not talking about this to their mothers, to their sisters, to their friends, to their coworkers? It has a chilling effect. And when these suburban parents are looking at all their options and all of the hassles, all of the things that are kind of making them irritated, they're going to say, okay, maybe the DEMS, maybe they are causing my food prices to go up, my gas prices to go up, but I feel safer in these areas. These areas are more important to me. I've changed my opinion about guns. Again, they're showing me women going into the booth and voting D, even though their husband has 5 ARs. Maybe because their husband has 5 ARs. And that secret is going to go to her grave. She's never going to tell anybody. This is why the press doesn't know what's going on. The press has become part of this feedback loop, this doom loop of fear, telling those people what they want to hear. I want to be afraid. Fear. I'm addicted to fear. I'm addicted to those endorphins. I'm addicted to that feeling of, yeah, things are bad. Things are terrible right now. It's sad. So this is why we're going to win. And we're not going to understand why. So I don't know what else to say to you. I don't know how else to describe it. It's out of our hands. They're telling me it's out of your hands. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. You know, they said this in a video, I don't know, a month ago. They said the energy has now, they use the words kind of escaped the bounds, like a river has gone over its banks, and you can't control it at this point. There's no controlling it. It'll go where it needs to go. It'll do what it needs to do. And that also is applicable to 45 and his minions. Tommy Tuberville, whatever the heck his name is. Okay, I'm again drinking my coffee, trying to mind my own business. Trying not to be a psychic and a medium. I'm trying to be a Susan. And all of a sudden I hear Tommy Tuberville. And I'm like, and this happens a lot. It probably happens to you, right? You get psychic hits. You're like, what does it mean? Am I supposed to do something? You know, what the heck? You know, you can journal it. You can write it down. My advice to you is just write it down and then go on about your business and see how that information pops up again in your life. In this case, I kind of remembered his name. I kind of thought, isn't he a football coach? I didn't remember or know or whatever. He had run for Senate. This guy is in trouble. He's in Alabama, or I don't know where he is. I don't know what state he's in. He coached in Alabama, but I don't know what state he ran in. But here's the thing. He really is coming under fire for being a racist. And I'll just tell you, and he's not running. I mean, I think he just won in 2020. I don't think he's running, but they told me, and I don't understand the symbolism of this either, but they showed a big rock, like a rock that you would, a river rock, small, smooth, and you hold it in your hand. It's pretty big. And you hold it and you just drop it and it goes deep in the water. Sinks like a stone is what they told me, and they showed me that visual. Sinks like a stone. Now they're telling me right now that he is been implicated in the January 6th debacle, attack, whatever you want to call it. He's been implicated in that. They're telling me, and I'm going to use the word allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only, he's being investigated for that. So he is being dropped like a stone. So that's some just happened this morning. I thought that I would share that with you since it just happened. And with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope that this has helped you maybe have a new perspective on the thing that we're getting ready to do. And I hope that you go out and do that thing. And I hope that you even offer to give rides to people who don't have rides, or help them. That's a thing that we do down here in the South, because the places where you go are typically pretty far away, and senior citizens or some people just don't have transportation, or don't have reliable transportation, or transportation on that day that they can go. So think about helping your neighbors and your friends. It's going to be an interesting time, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. And for the most part, good is prevailing and good will prevail. Take really good care of yourself. Much love and light to you. We'll talk again soon, right here on this channel. Bye, everybody. For entertainment purposes only.